KBLA Talk 1580. That is one of the great songs. I say Adore is my favorite, but there's so many. Jarrett Hill is here. He's a journalist. He's a scholar. Theologian?
No.
Not a theologian?
I studied religion a bit, but not.
You studied
not a
religion,
yeah.
right? But definitely an award-winning journalist, a podcaster, an artist, a visual artist. You got a lot of hats.
Yes, and I love that song. Like, that is one of my favorite Prince songs. I was trying to think of, like, what is my favorite, because there's a few, but, like, I every time I hear that, I feel like my shoulders kind of start involuntarily rocking, and like it's such a good song. Like, I love that song.
I love that song too. I once edited a video when I got a new baby niece. All pictures of her to that song. Shout out to Julia. But yeah, there's so many to choose from.
Yeah, I have multiple different Prince songs over the years that have like really connected for me, and so like this anniversary, I was like, oh my gosh, it's been 10 years already since Prince passed away. Like, it's hard to believe that it's been that long. I think about that when we think about Whitney, when we think about Michael. It's like, wow, it's been so much time that's passed now.
It's crazy to me.
Yeah,
it's crazy to me. I feel like it was only yesterday or maybe a year or two ago that we lost him. But then again, no, because we have all the concerts, 10 years of concerts and statements and innovations that we've missed.
The Super Bowl performance in the rain, and like the film. Like, there's so many different like touch points with Prince's story and his career and his work. So
yeah. I feel like he made a lot of space for people to be themselves. And, you know, now gender fluid and sort of eccentric. And I mean, we've had the Sly Stones. We've had the Bootsy Collinses that push the envelope in terms of style. But in terms of your identity, racial, gender, sexual, I think he was a pioneer because we weren't talking about spectrums and stuff. I mean, you're younger, so you don't remember back as far as I do. But let me tell you, at the time, Prince, when he really first hit hard, it was like he was uncategorizable at a time when everyone was meant to be in a category.
Yeah, I've always found Prince as an interesting figure in the ways that he was able to show up in the world, and that people made space for him to show up in that way, but like nobody else could do it, right? And I always found that really an interesting thing. I'm like, he's wearing stiletto heels, a blouse, kind of a duster coat or whatever it is, and like everyone's cool with that, but like you can't do it, right? And I'm like, to my dad or to my uncle or to my teacher, like, why can't you do that? Well, because that's Prince. And it's like, that's not an answer. You know what I mean? Like, that doesn't really answer the question. But like, Prince was always such an interesting dynamic of someone who could show up in the world and have that voice and do the thing and be frilly and free and frolic around. And like, as a queer person, I'm fascinated by the dynamic that Prince was able to create.
Yeah, and was accepted by so many folks, to your point, that probably generally wouldn't accept that.
Yeah. Well, and I think this is the dynamic that I find interesting with men in general and culture. Like, I'm fascinated by the ways that we see men doing things that are considered manly because they do it. Like, for instance, I always think that it's interesting that like cooking has been considered a woman's job for a long time, but the most influential chefs are men. Right. And like, but like, it's not considered a manly thing to do. And we see that in various different industries where like men are the person in the highest positions, and like they're able to do something, but like other guys can't do it. And Prince was such a great example of that in a lot of ways too.
Yeah. But do you think, I mean, it's true he could do stuff that nobody could do, but also I feel like he opened space because if he could find a way to do it, we could find a way to do it. That's how I saw it. And I think because especially in the Black community, because it was okay for so-called manly men to listen to Prince, I think it made more space for them to accept their cousin or their, or their friend or some other artist in the community who presented differently.
I'd be curious to talk with folks about that and kind of see how it showed up in their world, because I mean, I'm born in '85, and so I've gotten a particular like perspective on Prince. And like seeing his music, seeing his concerts and listening to his music being played and things like that. And so like I do feel like there is something In queer community, we talk about how like the most overtly effeminate or the most overtly, you know, quote unquote gay person is actually the person who's doing the most work to move the needle, because people have to see it, they have to question it, they have to deal with it whether they like it or not. And so whereas like the quote unquote straight acting gay person is doing a different kind of work in the culture, right, that people are having to
Right, because they're
address.
more smashing stereotypes, but they're also a form of respectability politics. Right?
Exactly. And so like that kind of thing, when I apply that to Prince, where who obviously he did not show up or identify as queer that we know, like I see someone like Prince that is also out in the world dressing the way that he was and doing his hair the way that he was, etc., as doing some real progressive kind of work, even if it, you know, it might have moved the needle a little bit for some folks. Like I could see that being true.
I mean, as a supposedly racially ambiguous person, I don't think I'm ambiguous. I think I'm clearly black. But growing up, again, a lot of that was always, you know, it's always part of the conversation,
Yeah.
especially having a mama who's Italian. There was definitely another kind of space making that happened for me because he
Hmm.
would just openly talk about, you know, having parents from different heritage, but clearly was firmly rooted in the black community.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, I think one of the things that I always appreciate is hearing people's stories about going to Paisley Park, or Prince calling them in and inviting them to be at a thing that he's doing, or you know, I always feel like when you hear someone tell a story of meeting Prince, there's always like the moment in the story where like Prince just appears, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah, that's
he
true.
just kind of like
Out of
dissolves into the
nowhere,
room,
yeah, yeah.
exactly, right. And so Prince is one of those people where if somebody has a story of meeting Prince, I'm gonna pause and I want to listen to it because they've got something to say that's going to be interesting and fun and always unique. And so, Prince,
That's
I've always
funny.
loved those stories.
Yeah, I never did get to meet him, but I will be listening to Tavis with his 3 hours of Prince interviews today, starting after my show.
Nice, that's
Yeah,
going to be good.
can you
Yeah,
imagine? Yeah,
3 hours of Prince interviews. That I imagine all of the facial expressions that we will miss on the radio, but like all of the different kinds of things that Prince might. Like
yeah,
you know
that's
those
true.
different kinds of
Because a lot of time it would the real answer was the expression, right?
exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
that is true. Okay, I didn't mean to go there, but couldn't resist. We got a lot of serious national headlines,
Oh,
and you know, one of for me the most unlikely is this. Supposedly, the Trump administration is going to give $166 billion in refunds on these tariffs, which I remember he was bragging he was going to give tariff like a stimmy check, but tariffs
mm-hmm.
to regular people. I am assuming that since the Supreme Court has found the tariffs to be illegal, we will not be expecting those refund checks for you and I,
No.
but they are going to corporations now.
Well, that feels on brand. Right? Like these corporations that don't pay taxes,
Yeah.
these corporations that are giving enormous bonuses to their CEOs and executives, their C suites, but also underpaying their employees or laying off employees and different things like that. So it's like, oh, those same people who are getting the bonuses are now going to be getting billions of dollars in refunds, but not the consumers, not the people who did the work, right? Like this feels actually very on brand for this administration.
Yeah, I think that's true, but it's just such a twisted way that it happens because the president, you know, there's a likelihood he'll still fight. I don't know where you fight after the Supreme Court says you got to pay the money back, but I feel like they're going to slow walk and resist giving this money.
But also, like, what does he care? It's not his money.
Well,
He don't have any problem spending money anywhere else that he feels like it, right? And pulling it back if they don't want to, right?
yeah,
They'll spend it overseas in war. They'll spend it to do any other kinds of activations of money that they would like to spend. And they also don't care anything about the debt. They don't care like what it's going to cost us. They don't care how it's going to impact the American people. If they cared about the way it was going to impact the American people, they'd be sending checks to Americans like they did with the STEMI, right? Which I think is also kind of indicative of the way that like he's not worried about another election because they don't plan on this election happening in the
right,
midterms
yeah.
or in the general.
So you don't even think they think they're planning on 2026?
Heck no.
Hmm.
I don't think there's any evidence to show that they do. right? Like, I mean, other than the fact that it's on the calendar, but it's been on the calendar for 20 years,
Yeah.
that date, right? Or whatever it is. And so, like, when we look at the ways that they are planning, like the way that they have been escalating, when we came into the top of the year and I was looking at the way that they're jumping into cities with ICE and they're pulling people out of their apartments, and the majority of the people are not even like have any kind of criminal background. I'm like, if this is where we are 1 year in, where do they put us by the election? Right? What are they setting us up to be prepared with, okay with, et cetera, by the time November gets here? And if we look at the way that the world is positioned, many countries are about to run out of oil and gas. Many countries are dealing with all kinds of different geopolitical issues when we think about the fighting between one country and another. And that doesn't even include the way that we're kind of inciting that in various different ways as far as like our global politics are concerned. And it's like we stand to be in very precarious positions with the things that they are doing, the ways that they're setting us up by the time the election comes. And we've already seen them fight every election that they've ever been a part of, even the ones that they've won. Right.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah,
it's hard to look at.
I felt like they are going to hold elections in 2026, but I do feel like they're going to cheat.
Absolutely.
I mean, the cheating has been teed up big time.
I'm sure we're going to have an election.
Right.
Right. Who knows how many people will get to vote? Who knows how many people will feel safe voting when ICE is out patrolling in the way that they are, right?
Which seems illegal. How is it legal to have ICE patrolling the polls?
Well, legal has never slowed this administration down, right?
Yeah,
Legality has
true.
never been the measure, and like they're very much so an administration that is okay with shoot first and ask questions later. Right. And like they will defend whatever in court to the best of their ability, or they will pull the trigger, or they will show up in the place that they don't have any business showing up. Like, and we've seen them do it time and time again. So by the time this election gets here, we cannot be surprised by the way that they behave, because they've shown us time and time again what they do. They have written it in plans and released it into the world. They've gone on television and told you what they're going to do. And he has signaled to us time and time again that he does not care about this election process.
Yeah, I mean, I do feel like there's some mixed signals. It's like with the war in Iran. You know, they have to open the strait. We don't care if they open the strait. You know, I want a ceasefire. I don't care if we have a ceasefire. I feel like we've been through those in just the past 48, 24 hours.
Well, I always think it's important that we don't always position Trump as dumb or stupid or making crazy choices.
True.
Or like, oh, he's just being so erratic. But I also think that like the chaos, the ways in which it affects us, right? When you talk to friends about things that they're following in the news, they're like, oh, I was so dysregulated today. I was so upset. I was so concerned on the day after he tweeted about ending a whole civilization in Iran if they don't do X by X hour.
A lot of people were stressed out by that. Yeah,
exactly. And I'm like, that is not an accident. Right? They know what they're doing. He has gone out, and that same tweet that went out, it's like, this is something that would qualify a president for the 25th Amendment under any other circumstance. But we have been through so much with Trump. It's just like, oh, another tweet.
The 25th Amendment, meaning removing him from office for incompetence, which can only be done by his cabinet, who also seem to be in some kind of cult-like stupor state, so it seems highly unlikely that they would do that.
Decided delusion. It is a choice to be deluded into believing whatever you say you believe, whether you believe it or not, into going out and saying the things that you hear these people saying to support him, to, oh, but he's so brilliant, he's so this, he's so that. And it's like, the man that talked about your wife in public, the man who degraded you, the man who like will demean you, the man who's done all these other things, but like these people are up there smiling and nodding. And so like the idea that they are going to be the ones to execute the 25th Amendment or to go back and push back on him, I'm like, I don't see any indication that that's ever been effective or been like the way that these people move.
Yeah, that's not where the hope is. Jarrett Hill is my guest. You're invited in at 800-920-1580, 800-920-1580. We are KBLA Talk 1580.
Thanks for starting your morning off with a voice that speaks truth to power and the powerless, getting to the heart of what matters most in our community. This is where authentic conversation meets real action. From breaking news and politics to culture and community solutions, this is where you hear perspectives you won't hear anywhere else. This is where we come together, get informed, and make change happen. You're inside First Things First with Dominique on KBLA Talk 1580.
Good morning, sunshine. You make my day.
Hi, I'm
Zoe Williams, host of The Voice of Reason, weeknights at 7 p.m. here on KBLA Talk 1580, with a personal invitation for you to join me and Insight.me as we present The Healing Box, live at Inglewood's world-famous Miracle Theater, Saturday evening, May 23rd at 7 p.m. Look, I understand your attachment style has been running your life like a rogue algorithm, and nobody has had the courage to press pause. Until now, Dr. Pakoya McCall and yours truly are curating a night where clinicians, spiritualists, and an all-star panel of Black woman healers like Dr. Shalonda Sunshine Crawford, Dr. Jashana Johnson, and spiritualist Precious McGill will join some amazing spoken word artists and the legendary comedian Louis Dix to diagnose, disrupt, and heal your relational wreckage in real time. Listen, bring your trauma. As a matter of fact, bring your baby mama. No, bring your testimony. And if you're still texting your ex at 2 a.m., baby, you're not just invited, you're the target demo. Tickets are moving fast, so grab yours at themiracleinglewood.com before your dating history gets flagged as a pre-existing condition. That's themiracleinglewood.com. We'll see you there Saturday, May 23rd at 7 p.m.
If you have unfiled taxes or are in debt to the IRS, this is important news. Did you know the IRS has programs specifically designed to help people struggling with tax debt? Powerful tax assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. No one knows these programs better than the experts at Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution firm. A-rated by the Better Business Bureau, their award-winning tax attorneys and licensed professionals have resolved over $3 billion of tax debt for their clients. One call to Optima can start the process, helping to put an end to your worries about wage garnishment, asset seizure, and other aggressive IRS actions. Find the best options to solve your tax problems. Call the experts at Optima Tax Relief today for a free consultation.
Call 800-919-9077. 800-919-9077. 800-919-9077.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
The joint will be jumping. Ebony Repertory Theater, in association with Big Street Films, brings you one of the most beloved musicals of all time. Tony Award winner, Ain't Misbehavin'. The soulful, swinging celebration of the music of Fats Waller. From the rollicking to the romantic, this show is pure magic, full of the songs that defined an era and the voices that'll make you forget everything else for a night. Foot-stomping, heart-stirring, unforgettable. Don't miss Ain't Misbehavin' at the Nate Holden Performing Arts Center, starring Lettucey, directed by Ren T. Brown. This is the night out you've been waiting for. Tickets are going fast, so don't wait. Grab yours now at ebonyrep.org or call the box office today at 323-964-9766. Ebony Repertory Theater, bringing the culture, keeping the legacy alive.
Ain't Misbehavin' runs May 21st through June 8th at the Nate Holden Performing Arts Center. Get your tickets now.
The conversation continues right now with Dominique DePrima on First Things First.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to get through this thing called life. Electric word, life, it means forever, and that's a mighty long time. But I'm here to tell you, there's something else. The afterworld. A world of never-ending happiness. You can always see the sun, day or night. So when you call up that shrink in Beverly Hills, you know the one, Doctor, everything will be alright. Instead of asking how much of your time is left, ask him how much of your mind, baby. 'Cause in this life, things are much harder than the afterworld. This life, you're on your own. And if the elevator tries to break you down, go crazy, punch a higher floor.
crazy. Jarrett Hill is here.
I mean, we got to go crazy. Like, this song, like, you can't not, like, this song is so energizing when you're in a room with people. Like,
Yeah.
it's so good.
Yeah. It's the last part of the workout where you can't get the energy and you just, come on, let's go.
Come on, let's go.
Let's go. Yeah, well, I feel like we need to go a little crazy in America right now to get back on track.
Some might argue we've been going crazy,
True
depending on how you look at
True
it.
that, true that. I mean, the other thing, I mean, and we're talking about the tariffs, and it sounds like these corporations are going to have to provide data and jump through all these hoops. It feels like this administration is falling apart, but also wildly disciplined and efficient at the same time because they're doing so much destruction in such a short time. And I do think that you're right. It's perilous to just say this guy's an idiot.
Yeah, the work that these corporations are going to have to do to submit this information, they could do in Chat GPT in a day.
Really?
Like, I'm not going to be whatever they're being asked for, right? It'll be like pull these numbers, show that, blah blah
Right,
blah.
right.
I'm not so concerned about what they're going to have to do to jump through these hoops, but I am kind of taken aback by the ways that this administration continues to show us who they are. But I also think it's important that we can see this as I was saying earlier, like it's not just him being stupid or him being crazy. Like there is strategy, right? He might be wild and erratic and say all kinds of crazy things, but the people who are informing him and advising him, the people who have put together Project 2025,
The people who are doing the work.
the people who are doing the work and guiding the ship in ways that we don't see, they know what they're doing. Right?
Yeah,
they
I
have
think
a
that's
very
right.
clear plan.
And I think because he's not well read and he has the vocabulary of a third grader, we assume that he's stupid. But he does have some kinds of intelligence.
Yeah,
and he is allowing them to execute this plan.
well, and I'm Googling right now because I know that there are different trackers that kind of like look at how Project 2025 has been enacted. And I know that over the course of last year, they were saying like huge swaths of Project 2025 have already been put in place.
Yeah, they're moving
Right.
fast.
They're moving quickly, right? Because they know that they don't have an infinite amount of time, and they know that elections are coming. They know that people will rise up if you do it too quickly or too slowly, excuse me. So like I think that while we can always point to like, oh, he said something crazy, or oh, that sounds so stupid, or that's so ridiculous, we also have to be always cognizant of the fact that a plan is being executed here, whether we see it or not, whether we understand it or not, or whether it feels like it is planned. It's like they are trying to make us feel a thing, and we are feeling it.
Yeah, and which two questions come out of that. One is that I also feel like we do ourselves, as progressives, we do ourselves a disservice when we look down and speak snidely about anyone that's a Republican or anyone that supported Trump, even though it's unfathomable for me or you, because we have to give people an off-ramp. They have to be able to come over to a different perspective. And if we tell them they're all idiots, then where's the off-ramp?
Yeah, I often say this with my friends, like the part of me that annoys me is the part of me that's always like, I was a conflict manager in 7th grade and 8th grade, right? Like I was trained in how to manage conflict and how to be able to hear both sides and all that kind of stuff. And we can talk about my parents and the divorce and the reasons that I was doing that in 7th and 8th grade.
Right.
But I have been oriented in that way throughout my life. And so when I see moments like these, I'm like, there's got to be a way that we can utilize a Marjorie Taylor Greene, for instance, right? Which we talked about on the podcast.
Yeah. Your podcast, yeah.
Yeah, on my podcast, the Jarrett Hill Show, which you guys can get on YouTube and other platforms. Like I don't know that it's my work to go work with Marjorie Taylor Greene, right? To like
Right.
sit arm in arm with her. But like when we see these moments of conservatives or people on the other side of an argument like that are kind of getting what we're saying, or like when we've been calling them stupid or dumb or ridiculous for all this time, there is an opportunity in being able to like capture that that pivot, that adjustment, that enlightenment, even if they don't see all of the things in the way that we would like them to see.
Right. Right. And I think, the other peril in this moment is that we obsess too much about Trump and don't pay attention to all the other things that are going on, or keep ourselves encouraged, enlightened, inspired.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that we focus a lot on him because he gets so much response. But I think that one of the things that has been encouraging me and blessing me is being able to go and see the work that people are doing to impact their communities in a positive way, and seeing how people are finding success in that. And I know for myself, I contribute in the ways that I can. We talked before about the Paint Plus Sipping story event that I did. Like, for me, it is about, like, what are the ways that I can serve this community of people, as opposed to, like, always having to fight against the system or try and prove that we should have our humanity or all these different things. Like, I'm not as interested in trying to get people to see me, understand me, as I am interested in, like, how do we affect change for these people who are going through this with us right now? And that's what has been really important to me, and showing me hope and joy.
We've got news, traffic, and sports, then more on KBLA Talk 1580.
Say the quiet part out loud. KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. In Shreveport, Louisiana, grief and outrage are mounting after the deaths of 8 black children in a mass shooting. Black City Councilwoman Tabitha Taylor delivered an emotional message to the community.
I think about the mother and what this family has lost, and I don't have the words to give you, and I'm sorry.
She says the community is broken and demands action to prevent more lives from being lost to gun violence. A Somali-owned transportation company in Minnesota is calling discrimination after its longtime contract was abruptly canceled. About 100 people rallied at the state capitol, warning the decision could lead to major layoffs and shut down one of the state's largest minority-owned businesses. And 2 of Kanye West's upcoming European concerts have been canceled. Sky News reports scheduled June shows in Switzerland and Poland were called off for legal and review reasons. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Head to Waba Grill for $5 happy hour weekdays after 3 p.m. and try our new Chili Crisp dumplings paired with a premium beverage drink like our new Strawberry Watermelon Lemonade Energy Refresher. Both for just $5 only at Waba Grill.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The number one storyline for Game 2 tonight in the Lakers playoff series against the Houston Rockets is whether Kevin Durant will be in the lineup. The 37-year-old Durant missed Game 1 Saturday with a bruised knee. The Rockets are listing Durant as a game-time decision. Durant is 5th on the NBA all-time scoring list. He leads the Rockets with 26 points per game. Despite Durant's uncertain status, the Rockets are still 4.5-point favorites to beat the Lakers tonight. 7:30 tip-off at Crypto.com. A.J. English is the new men's basketball coach at HBCU Virginia Union. English replaces Lester Butler, who became head coach at HBCU Winston-Salem State. English was the NCAA Division II Player of the Year in 1990. Later that year, he was a second-round pick in the NBA draft of the Washington Bullets. The Washington franchise changed their name to the Wizards in 1997. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
Prince and the Revolution.
10 years ago, the world lost a genius.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to get through this thing called life.
Prince trusted few people. Tavis Smiley was one of them.
Good evening from Los Angeles. I'm Tavis Smiley. Tonight, a rare conversation with one of music's biggest superstars, Prince.
Prince opened up to Tavis in ways he rarely did with anyone else. Honest, unfiltered, and unforgettable. On Tuesday, April 21st, as we mark the 10th anniversary of his transition, experience 3 uninterrupted hours of Prince in his own words.
When people criticize my work and attack my personality, it doesn't help me. I can't do anything with it.
Don't just remember Prince, hear him.
We live in a place now that feels just about like a plantation. We're all indentured servants.
Tavis Smiley, Tuesday, April 21st, only on Tavis Smiley.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. At the heart of the Al Wooten Center's mission for good citizenship and academic excellence is a desire to ensure that every student avoids the kind of lifestyle and overcomes the kinds of challenges that led to the murder of Al Wooten Jr. In 1990, founder Myrtle Faye Rumpf opened the center in honor of her son's life. In 2026, they are serving more than 300 students in grades 3 through 12 annually online and on site at their youth center and other sites in the South LA area. The Al Wooten Jr. Youth Center takes a neighborhood approach to the revitalization and empowerment of a community in crisis. The Wooten Center provides free after-school and summer programs to help students in grades 3 through 12 attain grade-level proficiency and promotion, high school graduation, and college and career access and success. The Al Wooten Center focuses on academics, STEM, the arts, and so much more. Join them for an enriching experience that sparks creativity and nurtures young minds. Tap in at wootencenter.org. That's wootencenter.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580, where everybody is somebody and nobody is a stranger. You belong here.
Yeah, a lot going on, a lot to unbox here. Jarrett Hill is helping, and I appreciate it very much. The Trump administration has had another resignation of a secretary-level person. The labor secretary stepped down. I was wrong. I thought that Tulsi Gabbard would be next, or Pete Hegseth, but it is Lori Chavez de Reamer. I'm not sure if I'm saying her name right. I like to read my news rather than listening to it. But supposedly she was having an affair with someone on her security team, or trying to have an affair, and was accused of being a bad boss. And her husband had been barred from the agency for sexually harassing women.
I heard assaulting two different women within the department. What's interesting to me about this one is, like, many of the things that we're hearing about former Labor Secretary Lori Chavez de Reamer are many things that we've heard about other people within the Trump administration, right?
Like the president?
Like the president himself and
Yeah.
Pete Hegseth and various others, like about sexual misconduct, about I was watching, I heard Rachel Maddow talking about this last night about, various different ways in which this secretary and different people on her staff have been engaging with each other. And like, I'm kind of fascinated that like the 3 high profile firings or resignations that we've seen from this administration have all been women. I don't know that it is, I'm not saying that it is sexist or something like that, but I am fascinated that it is the women that we've
it's
seen
worth
kind of
noting that the women are the ones that get thrown under the bus first.
Yeah.
For sure.
Well, and I mean, I think that when in the first Trump administration, I remember in the 2016 election being concerned, like, if this is the person who is leading, like, who are the people that he's going to bring in to support him in an administration? And I think the second administration has really called that question of like, now you got who now? You have who doing what? And the idea that they're not good at their jobs is like, of course they're not good at their jobs. They don't know what they're doing.
Right. But back to your first point, I mean, we have an administration full of men who are sexual predators, alleged sexual or adjudicated sexual predators, and felons and abusers and grifters. And so looks like he went and got women that also fit that profile.
I mean, it seems like a qualification, right? I mean, I think that when we see this administration and the people that are populating it, it's like, oh, this is deeply unserious. Y'all are not concerned about running the country. You guys are concerned about running a grift.
So she steps down. Apparently there's an investigation going on. This does echo,
Really?
Yeah, this does echo Bondi, right? Now I don't have to testify because I don't work here anymore.
Convenient, right? The people running the investigation are who? Right? Like who?
Well, yeah, that's true.
Who's
But,
doing the investigation?
I mean, the inspector general was meant to be doing an investigation. They said, it was probably going to be embarrassing, not just for her. And then, of course, you've got the Senate or a congressional investigation that's going on. Also parallel to that with Chuck Grassley, who's the chair of the Judiciary, who's demanding internal documents. And, Dems would be on board with that. So
yeah, I have full faith that Congress is going to figure out just what the heck has been going on. I fully trust that that's going to happen.
It's just interesting because if you or I did something like that on our job, and then we step down, we would still be subject to an inquiry.
Absolutely.
But I guess when they step down, it just magically goes away.
Well, I mean, if we're looking at Pam Bondi as one of the 3 people that we've seen go in the last month or so here, like, I think about Epstein files, right? And the way that they sat on that investigation, like, and obviously for different reasons than they might sit on information for this investigation. But I think to myself, like, who are the people that are running these different things? Like, am I supposed to have faith in the fact that they're going to really come out with something that is going to make some substantive difference? Like, I don't care about this labor secretary. I don't care about Pam Bondi. I don't care about most of these people who are in these different positions because I don't trust they're working in good faith. I don't trust that they are competent to be doing the jobs that they're doing. And in various different places, we've seen that they're not even that they're not good leaders, that they're not good human beings, that they're not showing up in the ways that we would like to see leaders showing up. And so it seems very on brand.
It is. I think for me, the part that's a little confusing is the fact that just what you said, this woman is doing the same thing as Pete Hegseth. So why isn't there an investigation of Pete Hegseth? I'm not trying to defend the labor secretary, Chavez DeRemer, but there'll never be an investigation of Trump. We still have 3 million Epstein files that have not been released. So how do they pick and choose who to, push out and for whom it's business as usual?
Well, I think about like the earliest worst accusations that we saw about Pete Hegseth in like state secrets, right? And like,
yeah, right.
And using Signal.
On Signal for state secrets.
You know what I mean?
And like, including his wife, like in the thread.
Absolutely. Or looping in a journalist who wasn't supposed to be in the thread and things like that. Like, those are things that would be completely unforgivable just from a national security standpoint, right? Like not even considering the morality or the ethics or the practice, just from a national security standpoint, those things should be unforgivable. And that happened a year ago. You know what I mean? And like, Pete is still in that job, still showing up the way that he does, like he's in some army movie, and like punching in the way that he does. And it's like, I don't know what it takes for someone like him to get canned, but like we can see what it has been for these folks who all happen to be women.
Yeah, well, it's just also really creepy that out of the 3 women, at this level who have been pushed out of the administration in the last month, 2 of them are credibly accused of having affairs within their workplace, high-profile affairs.
Well, and I mean, even with Kristi Noem, like the accusation has been that it was with Corey Lewandowski, and I'm like, Corey Lewandowski shouldn't have even been back in the administration after the things he's accused of, like over the years, why he left after, being accused of assaulting someone. Like Corey Lewandowski even being like in the administration is crazy. But the fact that like Kristi Noem is like having an affair allegedly with him, and her husband is off doing all kinds of other things, getting outed by sex workers for the work that for the interest and proclivities that he has. Like, it's like, this administration is a clown car. It's a clown car.
And Lewandowski's not just sleeping with Noem. He's approving actual contracts, and from what I was reading, taking kickbacks.
Absolutely.
To approve contracts. So somehow he's like the shadow DHS secretary through an affair?
The job is running a grift. Right. The job is running a grift. Whether it is tariffs, whether it is Venezuela, whether it is ICE, the job is running a grift. And I think even when we think about the grift of ICE, right, it is under the cloak of immigration, and we're trying to clean up our country, whatever the language is that they want to use today. But it is also making money. right? Like they are making money off of detention centers. They are making money for their Proud Boys and their white supremacists who are getting swept up in these jobs, right? Because the way that they are marketing to these people is with white supremacist language and iconography and imagery. They know what they're doing, right? It is a grift. And so whether we're talking about Pam Bondi or Christy Nome or Pete Hegseth or Bovine or any of these other people, right? Like the job is the grift, right? The job is the grift.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense because there really isn't a lot of other explanation into this fact. To your one of the core points you made about not assuming this guy's an idiot. A lot of the things that we take the bait on, they are the shiny object. In what's going on behind the scenes is something else. And I think the fact that these oil companies that are friends of his, that supposedly rejected drilling in Venezuela, or refining oil in Venezuela, are now quietly moving in. The fact that these same oil companies are making a ton of money while the Strait of Hormuz is closed makes me go, well, how stupid is the guy really? Is he just the puppet, and the puppeteers are brilliant, and so while people are worrying about running out of jet fuel and the cost of oil, his friends that own oil companies are getting billions of dollars richer off the same inventory because they can now charge jacked up prices even though their price for the oil that they have on hand has not increased.
Well, I mean, I think we can see this in myriad different ways. We talked about tariffs earlier in the show today, talking about these companies are going to be getting refunds or rebates back for the tariffs that they had to pay. It's like the grift is the job. We're looking at the ways that he goes out and says wild things on social media, and the markets go up, the markets go down, the markets go up, the markets go down. He's made incredible amounts of money since he's been president.
As have his friends and his family.
Exactly. All things that are like, these are all lines that we said we would not cross, right? These are all norms that we had upheld. Not necessarily always laws. Some of them are breaking laws, right? But like, Donald Trump has come in and shown us the ways in which we have been held together by way too many norms, way too many like handshake kind of deals
that are unenforceable.
Yeah. And it's a huge, huge problem when someone comes in and their job is a grift.
Yeah. Well, Attorney Nana Jomfy famously said on this show, we are in the era of who gon' check me, boo.
1,000%. Like, and whenever people are talking about, well, why is he doing that? That's illegal. I'm like, when has Donald Trump ever cared if something was legal? Like, whether he was president or not, like whether he was
and where's the accountability? Who enforces that? Only the people. And I think that is what one of the main things he's done is shown the weakness of our democracy, is that a lot of things just, we expect them to be that way because it's the norm, but there's no police to make, there's no justice force to make him follow the rulings of our judges, or to give Congress back the power of the purse, or to make sure that War Powers Acts are followed so that you can't just go to war willy-nilly without the approval of Congress. All of those things are things that are supposed to happen, but there's no mechanism in place to make it happen.
Absolutely. And I think for me, what this last 10 years of Trump, since him coming down the elevator, I guess it's almost been 11 years now, has shown me is that these norms that we trust, these norms that we've lived on, thrived on by some measures, all of them have to be enacted by people. Right? People have to show up and say, yes, we're going to do that, or no, we're going to not do that. And it is when it's at someone's discretion, when it is at someone's political whim, when it is at the whim of someone who is under pressure or under scrutiny or being attacked or whatever, like those things don't hold up.
Yeah.
And we have to be thoughtful about that.
Do we need to codify it into law then? I mean, because honestly, now that Trump has shown, you needed someone this brazen and shameless, or an administration, because it's not just him, it's the whole team. But now that illusion is gone.
Yeah.
So anybody can come in and grift, and they, so does that stuff need to be codified into law? Are we burning the whole thing down and we have to build a whole new, country? Or is there another option that I'm not seeing here?
Yeah, I mean, I think while I hate this administration, I think also like we have to acknowledge the opportunity that there is here. I think that many folks on the left have been saying burn it all down, right? Like on the furthest left, right? On the furthest left, have been saying burn it all down. This system does not work. We need something new. And I think that many of us are concerned about the ways that we see things are going, but it's because they're burning it down. We're just not the people holding the blowtorch and the hairspray and the gun and the whatever, right? They're doing it in the way that they want to tear it down. But it is coming down, right? And so I think that while we stand to be harmed in this process, there is also the opportunity for us to see like, well, the system is coming down. What do we do with it when it's gone? Or what do we replace it with? How do we show up and make something new? And that's actually where my mind is a lot of the time, is like, well, what is the thing that we create after this is completely blown apart? Because they're doing really good work at tearing it apart.
Yeah, they're burning it all down. So what are you going to build on that once that demo is done? 800-920-1580 if you want to weigh in. Jarrett Hill is here. I'm Dominique DePrima. That's KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DePrima when we come forward. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Tired of being locked out of job opportunities and shut down by systemic racism? KBLA Talk 1580 stands with you in fighting for the rights of black workers, and we don't black down. The Los Angeles Black Workers Center is a dynamic alliance of workers, organized labor, community-based organizations, clergy, students, and scholars working collectively to improve the position of the black working class. The LA Black Workers Center takes a comprehensive approach to addressing the black jobs crisis. Their programs promote access to quality jobs, racial equity in hiring and retention, discrimination-free job sites, and they prepare black workers for employment in high-wage career track jobs. The LA Black Workers Center supports workers who need help protecting their rights on the job. They give workers access to quality jobs and remove systemic barriers to employment. And they are advocating for a fair deal for black workers in the new Los Angeles City Charter. To sign up for free career readiness training, get involved in organizing, or learn about union apprenticeship programs and trade registries, please visit lablackworkercenter.org. That's lablackworkercenter.org. Together, we can beat the black jobs crisis and build a more equitable Los Angeles. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
I'm Reverend Gerald, the life coach. Is someone you love struggling with addiction and mental illness? Is improving your family's health important? Want to leave a legacy that your family can grow? Are you ready to enhance your perception of life experiences? Then wake up weekends at 7 a.m. with Urban Family Focus and get the wisdom, opportunity, resources, and motivation to live your best life. Join the conversation on Urban Family Focus Saturday and Sunday at 7 a.m.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
My ride smells just right, just right, just right, just right.
Y'all gotta try that Febreze car.
Just right, just right, just right. La 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 la. Picked up for 40 days of consistent sin. On low Febreze car clips right on your vent. You know my car's my happy place. Keep that smile on my face. When it smells just right, just right, just right. Yeah, breathe happy Febreze. La 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 la.
You better work.
She's rooted in culture and rising in power. Los Angeles City Council member Karen D. Price Jr. invites you to the District 9 Women's Leadership Summit, a powerful gathering celebrating the women who shape our communities. Join us Sunday, May 3rd from 1 to 6 p.m. Registration is open now, but space is limited. District 9 residents receive special priority. This event is free. Call 323-846-2651 to reserve your spot. That's 323-846-2651. Be rooted, be powerful, be there.
Broadcasting live from Leimert Park, USA. Welcome back to your home for unapologetically progressive radio. KBLA Talk 1580.
The debate online has erupted around a series of killings, and now this tragic story out of Louisiana, where black women are being killed, being whether, and it's interesting because we talk about the lieutenant governor, Justin Fairfax, murdering his wife, Serena, and then himself. This man in Louisiana killing 7 of his own children, one of someone else's babies, shooting his wife and another woman who he may or may not have been involved with. And then I'll include this influencer who, was killed in Tanzania. We don't know. Initially, they said it was suicide. It might be. Some folks, myself included, suspect the fiance. It just seems like there's been a slew of black women being slaughtered, and babies, and it's terrible. And I guess the controversy is how people are reporting it and who's getting centered and how it's being presented.
Well, for one, this is interesting because we often see crimes against black women being underreported to authorities, but also underreported in the media. And so to see, I believe it's 4 different stories that we've seen over the course of less than a week, if I'm not mistaken. The idea that we're seeing this many stories is unusual already, right? The fact that we're seeing this much
that they're
coverage
being
about
paid
black
attention to.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, we could. Well, she's not a black woman, but this, I'm thinking about the David story. I mean, she's a Salvadorian woman, but she's a child, actually, not a woman. But
yeah, I that is a unique dynamic in this story that I think is really important to highlight. I would also say that when we have like stories like this back to back to back to back, I'm always curious, like, is there an influx in these things happening, or is it like this story happened and so now we're reporting on another story and then another story? I'm always questioning that. And not to say that I want to be clear that I'm not saying that like these things aren't happening and these things aren't problematic. I'm more so kind of curious, like, what is happening if there is an uptick, or is it more so like the way that we discuss it in media tends to like beget another story and another story to glom onto. But like these stories are horrendous and horrifying, and like I don't know what we do with stories like these when they happen, like other than reporting on them and discussing them. I'm like, I don't know what we do with the information.
Well, one of the things that I'm hearing from some of the domestic violence agencies and people that are scholars in that space is that we do have to center the women. We do have to, make sure that we tell their stories and not only center whoever's doing the killing.
I mean, that is another media thing, right? The way that the media over the years would talk about these stories is like we would learn the killer's name and maybe the people that they killed, right? Like the serial killers and things like that. But I think it is important that we highlight these women's stories and learn more about them and understand like how these things happen, and maybe even in some of these instances, like what we could have done differently as the people around them and their communities and things like that to support them so that these kinds of things don't continue to happen.
Right, and we see that black women and girls are murdered more often.
Yeah.
And we do see less reporting on it, and those crimes are less likely to be solved.
Absolutely.
And so that's, I see that in Minnesota, for example, where they had a series of missing black women. They have established an office for missing and murdered black women and girls.
There are organizations that work on this specifically because of the ways that we see reporting on women that are either kidnapped or killed, etc. The way that we see in media that it is often blonde white women whose stories get covered, but when black women are either kidnapped or killed or assaulted or have harm done to them, like we don't have the focus on those stories in the same way because they're not considered mainstream, they're not considered interesting. And so these stories happening in quick succession and getting such a public attention is definitely a unique moment for us.
And at least one prominent black male journalist kind of got called out for that as far as just centering. And I've heard some others calling out fraternity brothers and such for just in the Justin Fairfax case for not centering Serena Fairfax.
Yeah, I Roland Martin has gotten a lot of feedback from his post, and I want to be clear.
He took it down.
He took it down, and talking with other folks in journalists who have been covering the Justin Fairfax case, I know that there's a lot of different elements of that case that are not in the public that make people that are closer to the case look at it with a great concern. I got in some trouble over the weekend over Roland Martin comments, but like I'm more so just like I'm concerned about the way we discuss these things and wanting to make sure that we are not dipping into misogynoir and when we're not considering these women and also not like showing up for them, right? Because when we see women in these difficult relationships, when we see them going through these challenges, like I think that there is a lot more work that can be done to show up for these women, to be supportive and to ask more questions and things like that, to be able to prevent things like this from happening. I'm not in relationship with Justin Fairfax or his family or that circle, so I can't speak to that specifically, but I do think that there's a lot more that can be done to support women in these stories.
Yeah. Well, thank you for showing up. Sometimes we take the heat, but that's how we change the narrative.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's what we do. Jarrett Hill, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm always happy to be with you.
You can find him at?
You can find me everywhere at Jarrett Hill. I have a new podcast called The Jarrett Hill Show. Dominique was on with us last week and will be on with us again. The Jarrett Hill Show is on YouTube and Substack, and you can find me at Jarrett Hill, 2 R's and 2 T's on all the social media platforms.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, we're talking Prince next hour. It's a purple hour around here to get you ready for Tavis's 3 hours of Prince in his own words. It's all straight ahead on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. In Shreveport, Louisiana, grief and outrage are mounting after the deaths of 8 black children in a mass shooting. Black City Councilwoman Tabitha Taylor delivered an emotional message to the community.
I think about the mother and what this family has lost, and I don't have the words to give you, and I'm sorry.
She says the community is broken and demands action to prevent more lives from being lost to gun violence. A Somali-owned transportation company in Minnesota is calling discrimination after its longtime contract was abruptly canceled. About 100 people rallied at the state capitol, warning the decision could lead to major layoffs and shut down one of the state's largest minority-owned businesses. And 2 of Kanye West's upcoming European concerts have been canceled. Sky News reports scheduled June shows in Switzerland and Poland were called off for legal and review reasons. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Head to Waba Grill for $5 happy hour weekdays after 3 p.m. and try our new chili crisp dumplings paired with a premium beverage drink.